The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. On today's show we'll be talking about Dog Tag Buddies. There's an organization that has trainers throughout the state that will train a dog for veterans. We'll be talking about how you can qualify for this program, what the dogs do and how they're trained, and of course how they meet the veterans' needs through that training. It's great information. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today.
Medicare loses $60 million in Montana each year, $70 billion nationally. Medicare processes 4.5 million claims a day. They don't know who your doctor is, but you do. Mistakes can happen. Read your Medicare statements and call Montana Senior Medicare Patrol if you see anything unexpected. 1-800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
Hey caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
How about some good old-fashioned me time for starters?
Michelle Smith, Helena.
Or maybe play a high-stakes game of volleyball with my other kiddo. Gotta teach him who's boss, you know? I could even make my famous spinach lasagna. Never hear any complaints about that.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
Hey Mom, more lasagna please?
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and we're brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services Senior and Long-Term Care Division. In our opening, I mentioned that we're talking about Dog Tag Buddies. This organization is based out of Billings, but it has trainers throughout the state. And we're fortunate to have the Executive Director, Dee Dee Baker. Welcome to the show, Dee Dee.
Good morning. Thank you.
Great. Well, we're talking about Dog Tag Buddies, which are dogs. And how did you first get into, I guess, the training and supplying of dogs? It must have met a need for you.
So interestingly enough, I actually worked for the state of Montana for 22 years. My husband was part of the Montana National Guard and was deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 2005. So when I tell people 9/11 really changed all of our lives, for some of us, it changed our trajectory significantly. When he came home, we didn't know what PTSD looked like. We didn't know what a traumatic brain injury looked like. And so we started navigating those waters and trying to figure out what does a new normal look like. And so for us and for him specifically, one of the things that I kept noticing was when he was having a really bad day, he'd come in the house, he'd sit down, he'd be on the floor with the dogs in his lap. And it was one of those things where you could just feel the tension go away. You could just watch him take a deep breath and go, okay, this will be fine. And over a period of time, I kept watching that and kept seeing the change that it made in him. And we've always been dog people. We've always had dogs. So that wasn't anything new, but watching how it helped him was pretty significant to me. And we started actually having a conversation about it over a period of time about, I don't know if you recognize this, but here's what I'm seeing. And he was quick to point out that, yeah, it did help him feel better. And while all this was happening, we were acquiring more dogs because that's what we do. They're like potato chips. And I had gotten one that I was going to train to be a therapy dog. And that requires going to class and learning. So this dog and I were learning together. And in the process, I got a second dog that needed training. And I said, hey, you should come with me because I can't train both dogs. And he started working with this dog and experiencing what it was like to train with a dog. And it was kind of profound for him to go, oh my gosh, I can't believe my dog just did this, because the first time she went to class, the trainer gave a hot dog and she spit it out. So we're like, well, she's going to be our problem child. And what that conversation led to was, wouldn't it be really cool if we could help other veterans just gain a companion? We were working with the shelter at the time in a volunteer capacity, and there were a lot of really nice dogs ending up there that really, through no fault of their own, they get them when they're, cute 8-10 weeks old. It's not so cute when they're 6 months old and they're stealing the sandwich from the toddler and knocking grandma over. So I don't have time. You're going to the shelter. And that conversation evolved over a period of time. So it wasn't like a aha moment, it was an evolution. And that kitchen table conversation led to us trying to build out this organization that was going to help veterans find the perfect dog that they could train as a pet. And what happened as we started evolving was we were talking and having conversations with other veterans who the challenges were so significant, they were not able to do the things they had been able to do before they had gone to Iraq or Afghanistan. They weren't able to go grocery shopping. They weren't able to go to church. They weren't able to go to their kids' events. They were isolating. They were pushing people away. And service dogs for PTSD was relatively new. It was something I knew nothing about. And so I started reaching out to other organizations and asking, hey, I don't know if you're familiar with Montana, but here's what we have going. And I heard crickets, except for one organization. And that organization basically said, you're not a dog trainer, take your toys and go home. I said, well, yeah. I can learn. Yes.
And you did learn. How intensive was the training? I mean, was it pretty easy to do, or are you still learning?
No. I've spent years. In fact, I'm still not all the way trained. When you're training dogs, especially when you're looking at a specific type of training, just because you can train a pet dog doesn't mean you can train a service dog. And so really learning what does it take to train a PTSD service dog, I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours going to hands-on classes. I've worked with my trainers to learn, taken online classes, done all kinds of things to really focus in on what is a PTSD service dog, because that's where the rubber meets the road. I don't train guide dogs. I don't train full mobility dogs. I don't train, seizure alert dogs. We focus on the hidden injuries. So really being an expert in that became super important to me, making sure that we knew what we were doing and we knew how to do it.
Now, you've been in business for 10 years. How many dogs have you trained and placed?
We have placed well over 100 dogs with veterans over the years. We do between 15 and 20 a year. It depends. Right now, we've got 29 teams in training across the state. Wow. And it's a 2-year training period, so it's a long process. It's not something that you go in for, an 8-week class and you're done. So we've got 29 in training, and we've got 4 or 5 that are ready to onboard. So we'll be adding teams to that, and then we'll be graduating some teams in May. So it's kind of a rolling process.
Okay, so it's kind of the chicken and the egg thing. So you train the dog, then find the veteran, or you find the veteran and then train the dog to his needs.
So funny you would ask that. We actually do entirely different. We do what's called the community training model, where the dog and the veteran are paired together early on in the process. So these dogs are still usually less than a year old. Through a careful application process and through our matching process that we go through, the dogs and the veteran kind of choose each other, and then they go through the training together as a team. And the idea is we're giving the veterans a new mission. We're giving them a new sense of purpose, and that sense of purpose is we are helping them learn to train the dog to be a service dog to meet their individual needs. So for all intents and purposes, the dog belongs to Dog Tag Buddies. They go home with the veteran. They integrate into their family life. The veteran comes to class once a week, and then he works with the dog every day throughout the week when he's not in class.
Well, that's great. Well, Dee Dee, we've drawn to a close on our first segment so quickly. And for our viewers, we'll be talking about how maybe your veteran or your friend could use one of these as a veteran, and how the training takes place and how they meet the individual's particular needs and how to train them. I've got a doggy and he's really good therapy for me. He's not really particularly trained for that, just his natural abilities. I laugh at him about 50 times a day, which is good therapy. So stay tuned. We got a lot more to talk about.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Out here, we love our animals, from the wildlife to the livestock. Inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
Hey, caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
There's so much I want to do, like researching family history.
Sandra Gaskin, Bozeman.
And this time of year, there's never enough time to keep up with my garden. But what I really love to do with my respite time is to work on my latest quilting project.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
It's so fulfilling when all the pieces come together.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're continuing our discussion with Dog Tag Buddies with Dee Dee Baker, who's the executive director. And Dee Dee, when we left, we were talking about accreditation. They have to meet the dogs and the trainers, and I imagine the individuals receiving the dogs have to meet certain standards. Can you kind of go over all of that for us?
Sure. So one of the things that I'm incredibly proud of with our organization is we recently received our Assistance Dogs International Accreditation, which is ADI. And what that accreditation does for us as an organization and what it does for the public is show them that we as an organization meet an incredibly high standard in terms of training and placing and follow-up services with our teams, making sure that we are following best practices and guidelines that are industry specific is super important, making sure that the veterans, when they come into our program, there's a lot of trainers out there that say they train service dogs, but they also train a whole bunch of other types of dogs. So for us, we are very focused on training service dogs and specifically psychiatric service dogs for PTSD and traumatic brain injuries. And so making sure that when somebody is looking into our program, they know that we know our stuff. And I'm pretty proud of that. It also ensures that we're able to, as we're going through the application process with our veterans, making sure that we're the best fit for them and that they're the best fit for us, because this is a long-term process. It's a 2-year training program once they actually make it into it. So we want to make sure that we are upholding standards that when they walk away, everybody knows that dog is a trained service dog.
Mm-hmm. Now, you're located in Billings, but you have a number of trainers throughout the state, which makes it easier for veterans in their area to come in. Was it once a week you mentioned?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
And what are the locations?
So we have trainers in the Flathead Valley, the Missoula Bitterroot Valley, Bozeman, Great Falls, Helena, and Billings.
Oh, that's really
Oh, and Havre. I forgot Havre.
Havre.
And so the reason we did that was we wanted to actually remove barriers for veterans. We live in a state that's considered rural and frontier rural. Access to services can be a challenge. We also are in such a large state that driving from point A to point B and back again, depending on the time of year, can really create more challenges. And for some of our veterans with PTSD, those can be triggers in themselves. So having trainers in those areas that can participate with these veterans on a weekly basis is really important. Making sure that it's not just about the veteran and the dog. We're training both ends of the leash. And so having trainers that fully understand what it is we're doing and understanding that my constant statement to my trainers is you're people trainers, you're not dog trainers. And it's really important to remember that because we are working with such a unique demographic.
Now, you're working with veterans, and we have the VA in Helena. For a veteran to be eligible to get a dog from you, do they have to go through the VA? Do they contact you directly, in which we'll have your phone number and information up? How do they start the ball rolling with this process?
So they can self-refer. Our application is available on our website at dogtagbuddies.org. When they apply for the program, they're required to provide their VA disability rating as well as their DD 214 member 4. The application is pretty thorough. It takes a lot to get into this program, because what I tell my veterans is I have a responsibility to do the best job I can for them, but I have an equally high responsibility for these dogs. These dogs are conscripted into service, so I need to make sure that wherever I place them, that this dog, while it's a working dog, still gets to live its best life. So the application starts there. They have to provide 2 family support forms. They also have to provide medical information, and we give them all the tools to do that succinctly. Because this program, it's not just about training a dog. We've actually rolled other things into our program. So we're piloting using occupational therapists in our weekly training programs here in Billings, with the intent that we will eventually move that out to other areas of the state. We want to make sure that when I talk to people about service dogs, I tell them a service dog is not the magic pill. They're not going to fix anything. I have to teach our veterans how to actually use the dog that they are paired with. If I train the dog and I hand the dog to the veteran, but I don't teach the veteran that when the dog alerts you to something, it's up to you to figure out, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? What do I need to do? So rolling in occupational therapy with our veterans is creating another avenue to help them learn how to properly use their medical equipment, which is what service dogs are considered.
Well, now, how does a doggy volunteer? They put up a little paw, or are there certain breeds that you're looking for? Do people donate dogs? How do they?
They do. So, as I said, they're conscripted into service. They don't really get a choice, but we spend a lot of time evaluating dogs, whether they're 49-day-old puppies or a year-old older dog. We evaluate these dogs. We have a standard that they have to meet. We're checking for suitability in terms of temperament, personality, structure. What's the dog built like? I've had people say, hey, I got a bulldog I want to train to be a service dog. And I have to explain to them that's not realistic. Really looking at the dog, even within the breed. So we use a lot of labs. We use German Shepherds. We use mutts. I have no problem saying a mutt, but they have to meet certain standards, and we have to look at, what was this dog bred to do? If this dog was bred to guard and protect livestock, it's not going to be a good service dog fit. If it was bred to be a lap dog, probably not going to be a good service dog. So we're looking at a lot of different things as we go through, and even, Labrador retrievers. You have the labs that want to go out and hunt birds all day, versus the ones that I just want to be beside you. And so we really have to evaluate not just the breed, but the individual dog in front of us.
Oh, that's great. Occasionally people say, I already have a pet, and do you have to kind of maybe turn them down sometimes?
We do.
Yeah.
It's really important to make sure that people choose pets based on emotion. And when we look at service dogs, we're looking at need before breed. We're looking at, what is it you really need this dog to do, and is this dog going to be the best fit? We used to allow veterans to bring their own dogs into the program, and we just found we weren't having much success with that, so we've stopped doing that altogether.
Okay, and I imagine with a 2-year training period, you want a younger dog there versus an older one who will have a short lifespan. Well, Dee Dee, we've drawn to a close on the second segment. We'll have another one coming up shortly. But to our viewers, we're continuing to talk about dog tag buddies, dogs that are well trained, available to veterans. We'll talk more about that in the next segment. Stay tuned.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Today, class, we'll be discussing the term ombudsman, a word we borrowed from the Swedes and never gave back. Say you're a resident or you have a loved one in long-term care. Now, what do you do if you're not happy with the care and services you receive? You call your long-term care ombudsman, of course. Your ombudsman is available to support you and your rights. An advocate on your behalf could be the ticket. This is your home. If you have questions, the numbers right there below me have all the answers. Class dismissed.
I was angry and upset when the doctor told me I have diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with it, the needles and the diet restrictions. But after I started to learn about it, those feelings changed. I was at risk for a heart attack caused by high blood sugar. That got my attention. I started watching my diet and making sure I got enough exercise every day. I want to be around for my grandkids, and now that I know what to do, it seems like a small price to pay.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host, Brian Lamore. We're continuing our discussion about Dog Tag Buddies, where they train dogs over 2 years with a veteran to meet that particular person's needs. We're rejoined by Dee Dee Baker, and your executive director. And Dee Dee, can you go in more about how and why these dogs help the veteran, but, you know, they also help the veterans' families, don't they?
They really do. And I think, so one of the things that I think it's really important for people to understand is a service dog for this type of disability may not necessarily be your first choice. By the time veterans come to us, typically they've been out of the service for 10 years or more. They've gone to VA. They've gone to counseling. They've done medication. They've probably self-medicated. They've probably made some poor life choices. So by the time they get to us, we're not that first, second, or third. We may be the fourth, fifth, or sixth choice. But when they come in and they start talking, the first two questions I ask a veteran is, tell me why a service dog, and what are the goals that you think you would like to achieve that you think having a service dog by your side is going to help you with? And honestly, the most common answer is, I want to become more engaged in my family's life. I want to be able to go to church. I want to be able to go to my kids' events. I want to be able to go to their basketball games. I want to be able to go to the grocery store. So the things that most of us kind of take for granted, for our veterans, these are really big challenges, and they're trying to find ways to overcome them. So by the time they get there, they're really honed in on, this is what I need to be able to build a better life. And I tell people it's like dropping a pebble in a pond. We're teaching our veterans how to communicate with a dog. They're building a relationship. They've spent all this time isolating and pushing people away. So they start building a relationship with the dog. They actually start to become better at building relationships within their families. So they become better spouses, better parents, better children, better employees, better community members. So as you're dropping that pebble in the pond, it's branching out. And if we can make a difference in the lives of these veterans that way, not only are we impacting their lives, we're changing the lives of their families. Mm-hmm. We're changing how they interact with their kids. We're giving that next generation a parent that they didn't know they were ever going to have. And that's super important to remember as they're going through this process. And that's part of the 2-year training. It takes so long because we're trying to build so many different skills and tools into them having this dog by their side. And as we're working with the veteran, we're also helping these families understand and build a new relationship with them.
Mm-hmm. And you're doing a great job. You have 6 trainers. You've been doing this for 10 years, and you've over 100 dogs placed. But now, you know, any organization needs some money. Moolah. And you're a 501c3. How do you fund this? Is it government funded, the veteran funds, or where does it come from?
So, great question. Thank you. Everything that we do is at no cost to our veterans. So we rely heavily on grants and donations. Community support is huge. Everything we do is at no cost to our veterans, but the cost of training these dogs over the 2-year period is about $30,000. Oh. So we take care of everything, whatever their needs are, including the veterinary care, the equipment, the food, the training hours, the occupational therapy, everything that we can do in addition to providing canine CPR and first aid for them. You know, things that people don't even think about when you have a dog. Mm-hmm. So really reaching out to the communities that we're in and letting them know, first of all, we may be a good fit for veterans in your community, but we need your support. It's so important that we be able to do this. I look at it as our veterans signed on a line to do what only 1% of the population population ever did. This is my way of giving back to them. This is my way of honoring their service. This is my way of making a difference in their lives and the lives of their families. And the fact that our communities have been so supportive is huge.
And we have your telephone number and website on the screen right now, so it's easy to contact you. But now, families might be watching this, and maybe a veteran, but how does one decide, or how is it decided that a dog is a good fit for an individual? What are some of the points that you would want to check off?
So for our program, I look at, first of all, are they physically, mentally, and emotionally ready for this program? When I say physically, typically individuals that are suffering with PTSD and traumatic brain injuries also have physical challenges. Training a dog is very physical. So making sure that they can we keep the veteran safe? Can we keep the dog safe? If it's not safe, I will help them find other avenues. Emotionally and mentally, it's a lot of work. It can be stressful. We don't give our veterans young puppies because there's so much work at that point. So making sure that they're ready for that, ready for the challenge that comes with training a dog. Looking at, do they have stable housing? Once they graduate the program, are they able to afford the basic care of the dogs? We still continue to support them, but we want to make sure that if something happens, they're able to afford that. Part of the benefits of being ADI accredited is the VA has a program that will help with veterinary care for their service dogs that come from an ADI accredited organization. So there's that value added to our veterans by participating in this type of a program.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're drawn to a close. We've got about 2 minutes left. Can you kind of give us a nutshell recap of everything that you do, who you serve, and how it helps?
So we serve veterans across the state of Montana and beyond. We serve their families. We help our veterans find new tools and strategies to deal with the challenges that they're experiencing as a result of their PTSD and their service to our country through the training of a service dog. So it's an integrative therapeutic program that takes 2 years, and along the way, we're helping our veterans build a relationship that they never knew they needed. I recently had a veteran that went to Ireland with his service dog, and he told me he could have never gone without having this dog. So we're changing lives, and I'm pretty proud of the fact and honored that we get to be a part of that.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for what you do. I'm going to get some treats and give it to my puppy who's 4 years old after this, and realize how much I do enjoy him. But thank you for the service that you do for all our veterans and Montanans. It's wonderful. And for our viewers, we have a number and a website on the screen. If you have an individual that might be eligible, or if you'd like to help by contributing to the Dog Tag Buddies, they would be more than happy to talk to you or receive a donation, or even any help that you might be able to provide. They're located in about 6 different towns throughout Montana. The individual who receives a puppy or a dog is trained over 2 years, once a week. So hopefully there's a trainer nearby you. But they've got a lot of great information. Check them out, and maybe you can help out a veteran, particularly if you know one that might be having a little bit of a problem adapting. Well, I love my Poochie, and I'm sure they love any Poochie that they will get. For Aging Horizons, I'm Brian Lamore. Thank you for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.